Episode 5 of the amazing digital circus was packed with hidden details, and even after like 6 rewatches, I still don't think I noticed every little detail, but in this video I gathered all the information I could. So let's start with the very first scene where we see Zubul on the couch and they are reading a magazine with the headline, "What do your parts say about you?" Which is kind of funny considering that Zubul has problems with their body. But then the circus members arrive back to the circus after an adventure and Kane says,
"Welcome back, my candy hearts and paper flowers!"
And this is actually a reference to Raggedy Ann and Andy's musical adventure, which is Gooseworks' favorite movie of all time. But here, if we look closely, we can also see that Kane fixes Gangle's mask after she broke it during the adventure. But here, when Pomni lifts her head up, she sees the mannequin who keeps watching the circus members from the background in every single episode. And at the end of episode 5, he actually revealed himself, and it kinda seems like he could be Dr. Football, the mannequin Pomni saw taking a bath in episode 1. But we can also see a teapot on the table here, which is also a recurring gag, but it's actually used in animation as a 3D model that serves as a standard reference object. Kane then tells his ideas for adventures to the circus members, and his ideas are actually insane, and they are definitely not for all ages, as Kane said in the beginning of the show. Maybe it has something to do with Kane getting more and more angry and violent with his ideas because of his corruption, at least based on his glitches in episode 3 and 4, but we'll have to wait and see. But when he mentions the Chocolate Factory adventure, that's also a reference to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and just like Raggedy Ann and Andy, this movie also gets referenced pretty frequently. But next, the characters go on the Poacher's Paradise adventure, and after Jax eats Gangle, the other circus members vote to make Jax a vegan for the rest of the day. And what's interesting here is that Kane was actually capable of turning Jax into a vegan, which originally shouldn't be possible, because in episode 1, Kane said that the only thing he can't control in the circus is the circus members' minds. However, based on how he created the mind-altering substance in episode 4, which made Ragata extremely honest, makes me think that he lied, and now with turning Jax into a vegan, it's actually 100% sure that Kane is capable of controlling the circus members' minds. The next adventure, where Pomni is the president, we can see many pictures in her office. For example, here is one about the Candy Canyon Kingdom, a duck in a suit, one about Zubul, then a dog, but we can see a picture about Jax, the Candy Princess, and also an abstracted monster. Then when Kinger shows Pomni his script, we can read some pretty interesting things on it, like how they want to make the war not their problem, but still benefit from it, and try to come out owning both Australia and New Zealand, and that he also can't embarrass the president. So yeah, it's pretty funny. But then we can see the bookshelf as well, and on that there are books titled like Gloinks, XDCC, which was supposed to be Pomni's original name, but there's also one called Egg, and the other ones just seem like gibberish. Except this one, where in Roman numbers we can read 57, so this gag also continued in episode 5. But then when Jax says this,
"Did I pick a bad time?"
and we can see Kinger under the table, it references the Clinton-Lewinsky scandal, which is honestly amazing, and this show is definitely not for kids. But next we can see the anime-style adventure, and here we can see numerous references to Glitch's other show, The Gaslight District. For example, on the board here, this is the Black Hand, and here we can see drawings of Mel, the main character from the show. And here behind Gangle, we can see a box full of body parts for Zubul, and what seems like an origami of an abstracted monster. But this scene,
I guess it's not as embarrassing as that time Gangle took an anime figure and...
That's fine.
is a callback to episode 2, where Jax also mentioned the figurine thing to blackmail Gangle, and I'm still not sure what this could mean, so if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. But next, on the stargazing adventure, we can see that Jax is looking for his tail, and he's acting like he lost it, but actually he never had one, which is pretty interesting, because what if this is also one of Kane's mind-altering things, or maybe it's just a Mandela effect. And here we can see that the moon made an appearance again, and she tried flirting with Kane, and fun fact, it's actually Gooseworks that voices the moon and also Bubble. But next, the intermission sequence was actually full of hidden details, like first off this scene. We can see that Pomni and Jax have bowling balls above them, and they get squished by them instantly. Then above Gangle and Ragata, there are cakes, and even though it drops on them, they don't get flat like Pomni and Jax did. And then Kinger, he also has a bowling ball above him, but he actually manages to catch it, only to later get run over by a chess piece. And so there are a lot of things we can theorize about here, so let me know your interpretations in the comments, I'm curious. But yeah, next there are these poses that we can see Jax, Pomni and Zubul in, and they kind of reference early 2000s album covers where artists struck all kinds of seductive poses, but we can see that Pomni is in a frog pose here, which could be a reference to her initial design where she was supposed to be a frog instead of a jester. Or maybe it could be a reference to this character who we see on the door where Jax is running down the dorm hall, and his name is actually Ribbit, and he's the circus member who abstracted before Kaufmo. And there are theories that he could have been Jax's friend that Ragata talked about during the stargazing adventure, which would be interesting, because then maybe this could mean that Jax might have abstracted him, and that is why he was hurt, because he was angry at himself. But back to the hidden details, during the bar scene when Jax starts talking about his backstory, it's actually a reference to Breaking Bad, which basically means that Jax and Zubul know the show, but since Ragata didn't catch it, it could mean that she either came to the circus before the show aired, or maybe she just didn't watch it. When Pomni talked about her human life, she mentioned that she spent her free time exploring abandoned buildings, so what if she stumbled upon something she shouldn't have? Maybe it could actually explain how she ended up trapped in the digital circus in the first place. Because if the server the circus runs on is part of an old abandoned VR experiment, it's possible that Pomni stumbled into the building while exploring and accidentally activated the system. And Zubul also says they also explored abandoned buildings without recording themselves for YouTube. And Ragata also mentions working in real estate, which could involve walking through empty or rundown buildings too. So that's 3 characters whose backstories all hint at being in an abandoned place before getting trapped. So while it's never actually stated, these little hidden details could suggest that the digital circus might be running on a long forgotten server, and none of them were supposed to be there, they just found it by accident and never got out. But more about this in detail later. Jax's fear of corn is also referenced, although it was only supposed to be a joke based on Gooseworks' Tumblr answers, but maybe this is actually an important detail about him, which could even tie him to Ragata, who said that she grew up on a farm. But lastly, the softball adventure. Here we can see many hidden details as well, like here on the headphones there is the CNA logo again, and it also appears on the advertisements here along with other things, like there is Kaufmo tire, Gator Goo with Gummy Goose picture, Spudsies, and even more things which are kinda hard to make out. When Zubul suggests that they should put Jax in maid clothes, everybody votes yes besides Pomni and Jax, which is also interesting that Pomni didn't want to humiliate Jax like the others. But speaking of Jax, when he sees the car next to him here, he gets scared like a cat, which is weird because he's a rabbit. But lastly, one of the most important things that I've noticed is that during Ragata's crash out, we can actually see her glitching, just like she did in episode 1 after Kaufmo's attack. Her nose and hair seems glitchy, so what if this could suggest that Ragata is actually really close to losing it, and she is indeed gonna be the next one to abstract? I don't even want to talk about it, because it makes me worried, so hopefully this was only animation error and nothing more serious. But these were all the hidden details I've noticed during episode 5. Let me know if I missed anything down in the comments. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.